So I am right here in Taco Bell, and I'm with child, and I'm eating a burrito. It's my second one, but I'm kind of full now. And I just wanted to say that I was in between making the videos about the African Americans and American people and my family joining the Church of Satan. But before I get into that, I was just right here and I was just thinking like how hard it is to be pregnant and to feel my baby or my baby's moving in me, and to know that I'm being abused. I was crying before I started making this video. Like I got a wet napkin because I was wiping tears and stuff. And for some reason, like when I start talking or whatever, it's like the tears just stop. Maybe it's because I can let it out, you know? I remember first feeling this way, watching my mommy be abused. Because I loved her. And she was such a sweet person. You know, she would do anything for anybody that she cared for, even strangers. And to see people abusing her, it broke my heart, you know, and I was too little to do anything about it. So that's where the pain started. And then I look identical to my mother, and I knew why they were doing it to her. It was because of her ethnicity. And I'm her ethnicity. So it breaks my heart to see people hurting me. And it brings back generational pain from seeing people do it to my mother, because my grandmother is Indian and she was a very high yellow Indian complexion. But my grandfather, he was a dark skinned African American male, and he was my mother's father. And my mother came out darker than my grandmother, and she didn't have the same long type hair. Like she had the texture where she permed it before she really got to know how to do it. And there was a lot of pain and abuse that she harbored from school up until she started being abused as a woman with children. And so for me to see people abusing her because of her ethnicity, I tried to stand up for her. And so we had the perfect life. I had the perfect childhood until I started seeing people abuse my mom, and until I started seeing her change and become sometimes distant or mean with me because of the abuse. And society was abusing her too, because in the workplace she had to work harder. She had to work harder than the other people at her job because they treated her like a slave. And they were mean to her. They were mean to her. Regardless of how nice she was, they felt like they had to do that to make her feel bad about herself because of the color of her skin. Then she came home to me, and she didn't like it. She didn't like being treated that way. And I would try to tell her, Mommy, I love you. So I would stay up under her a lot. And then she had my little sister, so she really didn't understand why I was always trying to be up under her, because I wanted her to know that regardless of how the world treats you, I love you and you're beautiful in my eyes. And I used to kiss her feet because she was my queen. And she didn't know why. Why is my daughter kissing my feet? Because I wanted her to know that she was my queen. And so, and there's nothing that nobody could say about her that would change that. She was the most beautiful woman in the world to me. And she still is. And so that's why I'm very confident, because I look just like my mother, and I always wanted to make sure that she knew, you are the most beautiful woman in the world to me, Mama. And so my mother started abusing me. But it was, my dad was abusing her. He was leaving her in the house and lying and drinking, and she got sick with cancer and she almost died. And I couldn't take it, so I got on my knees and I asked Jesus in my mother's room one night. I said, God, can you please take the cancer away? And he did. And I got to keep my mother for another 20 years until she passed away from cancer. It came back. But she had a lot of people in her life that was just trying to abuse or even still with cancer. And I was very protective over her. But my mother started to, she went to school, and she was a single mother. She left my dad, and she was single, and she was going to college out here in Clarkston, Georgia, where they're trying to set me up to be murdered. She was going to Georgia Perimeter, I believe. And I went to her graduation. She was very smart. Everybody loved her. And she never talked about it like I do. She would never talk about the racism, but you could see the pain in her eyes, that it wasn't okay to treat her that way. And she just was, she wasn't the type of person to say anything about it. But I saw it, and I got a little angry at the world from a child because of how they treated my mother. So people say I'm a little feisty, and that's why. So my mom started abusing me when she was working and doing it single, raising 3 girls, me, my younger sister, my older sister, all by herself. And she became very protective over us, but she also started physically abusing us in ways that she didn't do. And then she got married, and he started abusing her, and he was abusing us. So I was being abused from 5 years old, viciously, and that happened for years. And so when I became an adult, they did it, and they abused me about my ethnicity in school, because at Hambrick Elementary here in Stone Mountain, Clarkston, Georgia, they segregated the black girls in our classroom. They didn't let us go in the class with white girls or Chinese girls or full Hispanic blooded girls. They made the black girls stay in the room by ourselves with the white teacher. And then I was very smart, and they would act like that was a problem with allowing me to be educated. And then they segregated us Indian black girls, Puerto Rican black girls, and mulatto black girls. And that's how we got the way that we are, to where we don't have unity amongst us. And then they started abusing me at work like they did my mom, and I thought that things would change, but it just got worse. And then they abused me in all my relationships about my